Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Thank you everyone for coming. My name is Travis. I facilitate this group for tonight. So in this class, we kind of go over different aspects of the Eightfold Path, which is core Buddhist teachings. Tonight we'll be going over the virtue aspects of the path, so right view and right resolve, and the wisdom or discernment aspects of the path, right view and right resolve, and how they are supported by the virtue aspects of the path and the concentration aspects of the path. So that's what we'll be discussing tonight. So as always, I like to start, because this is intended to be a discussion-based group, I like to start by going around the room. If we could say our name and why we decided to start meditating. So my name is Travis. I decided to start meditating because anger was destroying my life. And I found a sense of peace in the meditation practice that allowed me to not be swept up by that anger.
Hi everyone, my name is Corinne. I started meditating, I'm trying to remember exactly why, but I can guess that it was because of my anxiety and just running thoughts all day, all night. So I decided to do little bits at a time, and slowly I've been meditating more and more and like applying it through my daily state of being.
I'm Nirmal, and I started meditating because the same reason, anxiety and worries, to get peace of mind. It does help.
My name's John. I started meditating, I don't remember exactly, I think it was a therapist who was nudging me in that direction, similarly for anxiety. And yeah, I think that's kind of how I started.
I'm Brendan. I'm still learning how to meditate. It's been really relaxing and really refreshing to be able to just step back and get a distant view of what's important.
Robin, I started meditating to deal with, in the words of Stuart Small, with my stinking thinking. And it has helped me deal with things, and I always remember you saying they're just thoughts. And that has really helped me deal with things in my life. Thank you.
I'm Tim, and I started meditating to try to understand my mind. And I was suffering from severe depression and was filled with rage. And I wanted to figure that out and find some peace.
So thank you everyone for sharing. Sherry also shared online. I also started meditating to deal with anxiety, and it definitely helps a lot. And Roberto shared to manage stress. So thank you everyone for sharing. We'll go right into the meditation. We'll just do a working the breath throughout the body meditation. Throughout the meditation, I'll be giving instructions like breathing in through the eyes and the ears. I'm not suggesting we're literally doing that. It's more of a perceptual exercise to spread sensation of breath, which is very much a tension relaxing sensation, to parts of the body that it might otherwise be hard to consciously relax. It's easy enough to drop the shoulders and soften the forehead. It's a bit more difficult to relax tension in the center of the head or the center of the chest. So we use the breath as kind of a proxy to tell the body that we would like to relax that area. Yeah. Throughout the meditation, you'll become distracted. The mind will wander off. Try your best to not see that as a failure, but a success, because you've noticed that it's wandered and you can bring it back to the breath. And it's the whole practice that we're working on. Mindfulness, keeping the breath in mind, becoming aware when we've wandered off, and remembering, keeping in mind what we're doing here and coming back to it. So yeah, that's about it. We'll go ahead and get started. Closing the eyes, taking 3 deep breaths slowly. And then settling into a natural rhythm of breathing, keeping the breath within your awareness. As you maintain this awareness of breath, try to notice if there's any tension around the process of breathing itself. Any sense of forcing the breath in or squeezing the breath out. See if you can consciously drop that, allowing breath to flow in, allowing breath to flow out. And as you direct your awareness towards the breath, notice what kind of perception you hold about awareness and breath. Do you perceive them as 2 separate things? What happens if you hold the perception that breath and awareness are one thing? one fluid activity. Without awareness, we wouldn't notice the breath. Without the breath, awareness would die away. So they could be thought of as one thing, this breath awareness. And with this newfound breath awareness, anywhere you guide the awareness to, the breath will naturally follow. So you can begin by guiding breath awareness up to the forehead, noticing if there's any tension in the forehead, and breathing through that tension, dissolving it away all the way through the in-breath, and keeping it relaxed all the way through the out-breath. Gradually expanding that breath awareness out to cover the entire surface of the head, relaxing the area around the eyes and the scalp as you breathe in, and keeping it relaxed as you breathe out. Guiding breath awareness down into the jaw, relaxing the jaw. And slowly allowing breath awareness to seep into the center of the head, very gently dissolving away tension there. Suffusing the head with this breath awareness, all the way through the in-breath, all the way through the out. And when breath awareness in the head feels spacious and relaxed, you can gently allow that awareness to melt down into the neck and the shoulders. Opening the airways, dropping the shoulders. Breath awareness melting down the arms and into the hands. Relaxing tension all the way in, keeping it relaxed all the way out. Guiding breath awareness into the center of the chest, the area around the heart. Noticing how it feels to breathe in this part of the body. Noticing any sense of tension or tightness. And allowing breath awareness to flow through that tension, dissolving it away. You could, if you want, you could even imagine the breath coming in right at the front of the chest. Flowing deep into the heart, soothing the heart. And as you breathe out, you can imagine it radiating out, opening the chest. And with the heart spacious and relaxed, allowing breath awareness to melt down into the abdomen, in the area around the stomach. Noticing the sensations in this part of the body. Any sense of tension or tightness. See if you can allow breath awareness to flow through that, dissolving it away, all the way in and all the way out. With the abdomen relaxed, gently guiding breath awareness to the soles of the feet. Noticing sensation in this part of the body. Noticing any tension or tightness. And seeing if you can breathe into that tension. Dissolving it away. You can gently allow your awareness to rise up from the soles of the feet, up through the legs and the knees, and through into the hips, relaxing any tension that you find. As you breathe in, you could imagine the breath come in right there at the tailbone, gently flowing up the spine, lengthening the spine, as you breathe in. And radiating out from the spine as you breathe out, soothing tension in the back. And as we've gone through these various parts of the body, we've worked breath awareness throughout the body. The next step is to connect all of these various areas together in our awareness. So we're aware of the entire body as we breathe in, and we're calming the entire body as we breathe out. A good way to go about this is to settle into wherever in the body you found it easiest to create a sense of ease, a sense of presence, and make that your focal point, spreading the periphery of your breath awareness out from that point to fill the body, from the crown of the head to the soles of the feet. Breathing in, filling the body. Breathing out, soothing the body. as you maintain working this breath awareness throughout the body, you can once again question your perception. What kind of perception do you hold of breath, awareness, and body? Do you perceive them as three separate things? What would happen if you perceived them as one thing, one fluid state of being? Without the breath, awareness and the body would die away. Without awareness, you wouldn't notice the breath nor the body. And without the body, there would be nothing to breathe. So they could be thought of as one thing. This embodied awareness, this unified awareness. And before we open our eyes in a moment, we can remind ourselves that just because the eyes are open and we're engaging in the world again, doesn't mean the mind has to go flowing back out with them. We can still maintain some sense of this embodied awareness, at home in the body, at home in the mind. It's a foundation that we can act from. A strong foundation in the present moment. And with that thought in mind, you can open the eyes and stretching if needed. So as always, after meditation, if anyone would like to share how that experience was for them, whether you found it easy, difficult, straightforward, or confusing, or whatever else you're sitting with in this moment.
It was a really lovely experience for me. I've been doing a lot of just like solo meditating, so it's really nice to have the guided. I feel like it was easier for me to bring my attention back to the breath, easier than it's been recently. And then I also felt, I don't know how to describe it, but I guess a little more flow and energy in my body. And I kept getting like shivers everywhere, but it wasn't from being cold. So that was kind of the first time I experienced that. It was really nice.
Thank you for sharing.
In that meditation, you went from the breath and awareness as one, and then you did the breath and body and or in the awareness and there was one point where it was really very flow. I really got the flow. So was that part at the end there? Did you have like 3 parts together?
Yeah, it was basically just taking the breath awareness perception that we had at the beginning and realizing that there's not really a distinction between the breath awareness and the body as well. So instead of, because sometimes, especially with this type of meditation, it can feel like we're trying to juggle 3 different things. Like we're trying to maintain our awareness and we're also trying to focus on the breath and we're also trying to relax the body. But they're all part of the same process. So if we hold the perception that they're all the same thing, it takes out a lot of the busy work of the meditation and allows us to just be with that process. It's instruction I used to give years ago that I just stopped giving for some reason. But
It's very effective because it does help, because there was I had a lot of chatter in the beginning. Until I finally got that going.
would anyone else like to share? Or does anyone else have any questions? Okay. So, a few things with that meditation. One, those of you who sit with me a lot may have noticed that the order was different. We started with the kind of the head, the center of the head, down through the body, and then up through the spine. There wasn't any particular reason I did that, just that I think it's important within a meditation practice to not get stagnant or stale with how you approach the meditation and not fall victim to the idea of that you learn a method and then you have to religiously abide by that method in the correct order, in the correct steps. The mind is constantly shifting, constantly changing. Maintaining the same style of meditation, the same topic of meditation, whether it's breath or loving kindness or gratitude or whatever it may be, is really useful, but just not getting stale in how we approach those topics, right? It's important within meditation practice to not, to try to avoid kind of meditation window shopping, where it's like Monday I'll do breath, Tuesday I'll do loving kindness, Wednesday I'll do a gratitude practice, Thursday I'll do a walking meditation, blah, blah, blah. It's important to have some kind of centered practice that's relevant to you and helpful for you, whether it's breath or loving kindness or whatever it may be. But that's how you develop depth in this practice, and that's how meditation becomes a skill that we can use and a skill that overflows into other areas of our lives. So if we're always just digging lots of little holes, we never really dig down deep enough to strike oil or strike gold. But if we can stay with one practice for a lengthy period of time, it creates depth. And it makes this practice more of a skill that we're learning rather than a hobby or an escape of some kind. Yeah. So So I'll go into the topic tonight, since the meditation went a little bit longer, just because I felt like it. Um, so the topic tonight was the discernment division of the path. So I'll go over the Eightfold Path very briefly and then talk about the three divisions of the path. So the Eightfold Path is right views, right resolves, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Within those 8 factors of the path, they're further divided into kind of 3 subsets that are kind of more broad aspects of the training of the mind. So you have with right view and right resolves is the discernment or the wisdom factors of the path. Right speech, right action, and right livelihood are the virtue or moral aspects of the path. And then right effort, mindfulness, and concentration are the meditation aspects of the path. And the progression of the path, although it's this eightfold path and it's listed in this order, isn't necessarily that linear. You need a little bit of discernment or a little bit of wisdom to even start on this path, meaning you need to recognize that you are suffering, that you're stressed out, that you're anxious, that you're a mess, and that what you're doing currently isn't working. So you need to find something that does work. So that little bit of discernment is necessary to get started on this path. And then once we're on this path, the foundation of this practice, the foundation of this path is actually the virtue division, right speech, right action, and right livelihood. Living our lives in a way that sets us up for success, both within our lives, meaning we're not causing harm to others or harm to ourselves through our actions. And it also sets us up for success within the meditation practice. Because if we're not causing harm through our actions, we have a lot less remorse, a lot less anxiety, a lot less guilt, a lot less anger. And all of that filters through into the meditation practice. If all we're doing with this practice is meditating, but we're not making substantial shifts in the life that we've been living that led to us having to come find meditation and figure out how to fix our mess. Spoiler alert, you fix your mess by not doing the things that led to it being a mess in the first place. And meditation is a useful tool to be able to learn how to let go of a lot of those unskillful behaviors and habits. The meditation aspect of the path of right effort, mindfulness, and concentration. You have to make that effort. You have to be mindful and aware of what's going on in the mind, how we're responding to stimuli. And then you have to make a concentrated, you have to collect the mind at that point and recognize what needs to be done. So with virtue as a foundation, concentration or meditation becomes more easily accessible to us. And then through the process of learning how to calm the mind, still a lot of the chatter of the mind be at home in the body, then discernment will naturally arise. Those discernment factors of right view and right understanding. So basically you have a little pinch of discernment at the beginning. You establish a foundation of virtue. You start building the building of concentration. You start building the building blocks of concentration. And then it culminates with a deeper understanding of discernment or wisdom that comes from learning how to settle down in the present moment and seeing things as they are instead of how we think they should be or how we believe them to be. So when talking about the discernment division of the path, you've got those 2 path factors of right view and right resolves. Right view is an understanding of the Four Noble Truths. The Four Noble Truths was the very first teaching that the Buddha ever gave, and they are as follows. In life, there is dukkha, stress, suffering, dissatisfaction. The cause of that dukkha is craving. The ending of that dukkha is possible, and the path to the ending of that dukkha is the Eightfold Path, as mentioned earlier. So an understanding of the Four Noble Truths applies not only to it doesn't mean just hearing the Four Noble Truths one time and being like, okay, got it, life is suffering, etc. It's being able to use the Four Noble Truths actively, being able to, within the moment, using this framework of the Four Noble Truths. When we're experiencing something, is there an element of dukkha within this? Where is the element of dukkha, dissatisfaction, stress, anxiety present in this situation, whether it's a pleasant situation or an unpleasant situation. Where is that sense of dukkha? And then the second noble truth, what am I holding on to? What am I craving? What am I seeking that's causing me to have this kind of reaction, that's causing this dukkha? What is it that I'm holding on to in this moment that's giving rise to that suffering or that stress or that anxiety? What beliefs, what values am I holding on to that's just contributing to my own suffering and isn't all that useful typically? Third noble truth, the absence of dukkha is possible. Recognize that it's possible within that moment to alleviate that dukkha. If we can recognize what the craving is, what the cause is in that moment, and we can relax our hold on that craving, the dukkha will fade away, even if it's just for a second. And noticing that absence of stress, that absence of tension, sometimes it can feel physically pleasant in the body, like during this type of meditation where we might have sensations throughout the body, a relaxed feeling throughout the body, a sense of electricity or bubbles or warmth or whatever it may be. And then the fourth noble truth, what qualities of mind would be the most helpful for me to foster so that this same craving doesn't arise in the future? What qualities of mind, qualities of heart can I develop? What can I do to reinforce the opposite of that craving, to reinforce skillful behaviors instead of just wallowing in the craving and the suffering? So that's kind of that understanding of the Four Noble Truths, using it as a framework. Comprehend the suffering, abandon the cause, notice its absence, and develop the path. Those are the four duties of the Four Noble Truths. And then right resolve expands upon that acknowledgement of the Four Noble Truths and divides thoughts into two kinds, skillful and unskillful. Skillful thoughts being thoughts that lead to an end of suffering, that calm the mind, relax the mind, and unskillful being things that inflame the mind. And if you divide your thinking into two sorts, based on what the intention or the resolve that's fueling that thinking is, it becomes a lot easier to see the mind objectively. If any thought that comes up, we ask ourselves, what's the intention behind this? What's the resolve behind this? Where am I acting from in this situation? And the Buddha gave examples of sensory obsession, ill will, and harmfulness being unskillful resolves that tend to permeate the thoughts, and renunciation, goodwill, and compassion as skillful resolves that permeate thoughts. So we recognize what kind of intention we're acting from, what kind of intention our thoughts are being born from. And we can learn to abandon the thoughts with an unskillful intention and cultivate the thoughts with a skillful intention. And that's something that meditation practice kind of helps us or allows us to do, because it gives that space for things to come up as they are, instead of everything coming up getting contorted by our obsession to control everything around us. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and stop there and open up for a couple questions. I know it's a lot. This was my last class I'm leading, so I wanted to pack some stuff in there.
Back up to when you said something about discernment, and then there were three subsets. What three subsets were you talking about? We had virtue and
Virtue, meditation, and discernment.
those three are part of
They're the Eightfold Path.
there's 8 parts of the Eightfold
Yes.
Path. So those are the three subsets of the Eightfold Path?
Yeah, the Eightfold Path is further divided into 3 sections.
Okay, so it's not even.
Yeah. There's the discernment factors have 2, and then the virtue has 3, and meditation has 3.
I got that part.
So sometimes right resolve is called right thinking.
Yeah.
I understand thinking leads to, in my mind, they're slightly different. Like, why?
A bad translation. So I'm not partial to right thoughts. Because to me, right view and right thoughts almost feel like the same thing. But right view and right resolves is different. The second fold of the Eightfold Path is sometimes right thoughts, right intentions, or right resolves, different translations. Intentions I don't necessarily like because it seems more, it doesn't seem as intense as what the Buddha is getting at with resolves. Like being resolved, having resolution that I'm going to curb unskillful thoughts and develop skillful thoughts. It's a resolve or a character of the heart. So I feel like resolve gets at that better. And the thoughts themselves that come up aren't necessarily right or wrong. It's one of the reasons I don't like the right thoughts. It's the resolves or the intentions behind the thought. Because two people could be having the almost identical thought, but it's the resolve behind why they're having that thought that makes it skillful or unskillful.
What was the intent of it?
Yes. Because two people might have the same thought, I should help so-and-so. And one person is, I should help so-and-so because I might get something out of it, or because they have something that I need. And the other person, I should help so-and-so because they're in pain and that would be the right thing to do. So it's the intentions or the resolves behind that are motivating the thoughts that make them skillful or unskillful. The thought itself isn't inherently skillful or unskillful. Yeah. And that's also what I'll often say, just because you're having bad thoughts doesn't necessarily mean you're a bad person. Just because you're having good thoughts doesn't necessarily mean you're a good person. You're just a person who's having thoughts. Yeah. Time for, Sherry shared, you're amazing at linking the teachings and philosophy to the moment-to-moment experience of what is happening in the body and mind. I find it thought-provoking and motivating for my own practice. We'll miss you a lot. Thank you, Sherry.
That goes for us.
Thank you, everyone.
Hopefully you'll come back soon.
Yeah, we'll see.
Is there an intention to come back?
There's an intention to come back eventually, but not anytime soon.
So what's happening next week?
I'm not sure. I do know that there will be, most likely it will be Intro to Buddhism and Meditation for a couple weeks. But I know that there will be something on Thursday nights at 7. I just don't know what it will be.
Is that on Wednesday nights now too?
Next Wednesday, Bettina will be starting a class on the 4 foundations of mindfulness and the Brahma Viharas. Yeah. Should be interesting. I look forward to attending it. Yes, so a few things before we close, and then we'll close. If anyone wants the link to, I didn't make any tonight, but I have a bunch of study guides on each aspect of the Eightfold Path. If you want the link to that Google Drive, you can come up and see me afterwards. Those of you watching at home, in the comment section, there's a link to the Google Drive. Also, if you don't want to come up and ask me for it, you can just go to the YouTube channel, Dharma Bum Temple, and look at the latest video, and it has a link to everything. In the description below, I put a link to the Eightfold Path Study Guide folder, and then the Basics playlist on Dhamma Talks, and then also the Sutra, Two Sorts of Thinking, which talks about right resolve or right intention. That's all down there too. If you want any of those, feel free to come up and ask me afterwards.
Did you create that study guide?
Yeah,
It's real, I did the first one, it's like, oh, that's the first time I really understood this, no truth. I've only been doing this for like 20 years.
oh good. Yeah, they were fun to make. I made them a few years ago, and I've kind of updated them since, and probably some other stuff will get added to the folder occasionally, but yeah, I'm glad you're finding it useful. So we'll close with a dedication of merit, and then we have a few announcements. So if comfortable, please join palms. May any merit gained from tonight's meditation and discussion be dedicated to all those who suffer at this time. May all beings in all directions, without limit or exception, be healthy, safe, joyful, and at ease. May we all be healthy, safe, joyful, and at ease. Metta karuna mudita upeka sangha teya cetasa chaturhi sammaratva viharati sammamudaro pavena sammadhammaro pavena sammasangharo pavena sote hantu nirantarang.